Shalom and good day all, this is Tehillim29 back again for another indie comic review, and in this indie comic review I'll be covering Little Monsters and Frank Miller's Pandora. I'll now get things organised for the first issue that I'll be covering. So as we begin, I'll be starting off with Little Monsters issue 13, and I must admit, this has been a really good series. I have enjoyed every issue of it. I can understand why some people have left it, but I definitely recommend pick this up in the trade. And if you can get it in single issues, get it in single issues, as I have really enjoyed this series. So starting off with first things first, does this cover in any way, shape or form connect to something that is happening inside with the story? And sure enough it does, to which we have the character of Romy here, and we've got quite a bit happening in regards to the story with the character of Romy, but also a number of the early characters that we met in the series. So for the cover, I gave an 8 out of 10. Now it's time to move into the internal arts, which we get a look around the beginning, middle, and of course the end. And also what's happening story-wise. So as the story begins, we end up getting a bit of a reunion with the characters who we saw at the beginning, all minus one that has passed away, but we do get to see him in a bit of a flashback. And as we jump towards the middle of the story, we get to see a little bit more as to what's happening. We see something that's happening with Ray, one of the twins, and there seems to be a little bit of betrayal of sorts between these particular children, or these characters. And last but not least, towards the end, to which we get to see something happening in regards to the character of Romy and the rest of the other characters. For the internal art, I gave it a 7.5 out of 10. Now it's time to move into the area of the story racing. So first things first, did we get anything in relation to maybe time? Not so much, but we do know that daylight was fastly approaching. The next is location. We still don't have the exact location as to where this is playing out. It would be nice to sort of like get an accurate location as to where this story is playing out. But apart from that, does it take away from the story? Not a lot. The cast of characters consisting of Romy, Vicky, Bats, Lucas, Billy, Raymond, of course his twin Ronnie, who we see later on, Finnick, Laura, and last but not least, Yui. For the overall story rating in this, I gave an 8 out of 10. Now it's time to move into Pandora by Frank Miller. So now it's time to jump into Frank Miller's Pandora, and starting off with first things first, and that is in relation to the cover and what I rated it. For the cover, I rated it a 7.5 out of 10, as it does work with what's happening inside the story, and the character of Annabeth steeps a little bit further than to where she usually has in the story. Jumping into the next section, let's have a look at the art and what's happening story-wise. So as she wakes up the next morning and makes her way down, she ends up catching up with, of course, her parents and plus the people who are boarding at a location, including her grandpa. And you can certainly see something is taking place and influencing things around her, because she did what she shouldn't have done, and now it's affecting things around her. As we start to jump towards the middle of the story, we catch up with the character of Knox, and there's a bit of a kerfuffle that happens between them, and she realizes that Knox is more than who he says he is. And she'll be on her way to find out more. Is Knox her white rabbit? And jumping last but not least towards the end of the story, to which she actually finds herself in the world of the goblins. And this is as far as I'm going to go with it. So for the internal art, I gave it a 7 out of 10. Now it's time to move into the area of the story and what makes up its racing. So first things first, did we get anything in relation to time-wise? Time-wise, not so much. Next is the key locations that played out in the story, which were the home, the woods, the pink tree, and last but not least, the school. The cast of characters consisting of Annabeth, her mother, her grandpa, Knox, and someone else because of my bad writing, but I'll have to pass on that. But for the overall story rating, I gave it a 7.5 out of 10. Until then, let's keep it colourful and have yourself an awesome day.